Happy Mum, Happy Baby is brought to you in association with Fisher-Price. Their innovative toys are designed to be loved by both parents and children at every age and stage, giving us a helping hand throughout our journey so that we can focus on the most important job in the world, parenting. Hello and welcome to another episode of Happy Mum, Happy Baby, the podcast. This week's guest, I'd like to call you a beauty expert.
Okay.
Yeah, I can
That'll
call you
do.
that, a beauty expert.
Yeah.
A mother of four. You know all things beauty. It's Caroline Hirons.
Hi.
I said that like it's a question mark.
You know things
Beauty? You do? Because I had down beauty blogger and I was like, but you're not. You are.
I mean, I blog about it, but I work
you
in the
also do
industry.
it.
Yeah, I do it too.
So, yeah. You,
So, yeah.
You are an
I'm a
expert.
facialist. Yeah.
Even
So-
then, you're more than a facialist.
Yeah. Kind of a...
Stop selling yourself short. And
No,
you've got
I'm
over
not.
100 million...
If there was a match of the day
yeah.
for beauty, I'd probably be Gary Lineker.
There we go.
Because I'd rather steer the conversation. I wouldn't be Alan Shearer because the shirts are atrocious.
Good. So everyone who knows about football knows where we are with this.
Yeah. If they don't, they're like, I have no idea what she's talking about.
I know nothing about beauty and I don't know anything about football.
Happy
Help
days.
me. But you are a mum of four.
I am.
What was your childhood like?
Lovely until it wasn't.
Okay.
So I was, my mum's American and I was born in Liverpool and then we moved to Mississippi of all places when I was 4 to 5 that year. So my early years were in Mississippi and then when I was 10 we moved back to England. And then when I was about 13, 14 my parents' marriage started to fall apart.
Right.
And then my mum got a melanoma cancer in her leg. So it was great. Divorce and cancer.
Wow.
So my teen years were lovely. But my childhood was great because I was just playing all day, outside all day, you know, in Mississippi heat. Very, very different. But to be, you know, to leave that and then go back to England. We moved to Liverpool to live with my grandparents when we first moved over. And then ended up in Warrington because of my dad's job up north. And then I moved to London when I was 17.
And you've dropped all accents then.
I can do it if you want me to.
The whole podcast. I'd go just go to Mississippi. Actually, I like that accent. The whole way
I
through.
can do that one too.
It's the way that people play with their hair
I
when
know.
they do
You
that
have to
one
kind of
as
play
well.
with your hair, even if you're saying something really, really like atrocious. Oh, bless his heart. That means I want to throat punch you, mate.
And do you have any siblings?
I've got one younger brother. He's 9 years younger than me, so I was like a proper big sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you what thoughts did you have about your own family? Did you think you'd want a big family?
No, I kind of always knew I wanted kids, and then I knew I wanted a couple of kids when I was young.
Right.
The later two were a surprise in that I didn't know I would want more. They weren't a surprise. We knew what we were doing. But I knew I wanted more. I just didn't realise I would feel like that until I'd had the other two. And then out of nowhere, I was like, right, I really want a daughter.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go again. And then we had the daughter, and I was like, well, she can't be on her own. We have to have another one. My husband was like, what? God.
So you've got quite a big, is it 12 years from oldest to youngest?
Pretty much, yeah. Ben is 91 and Max is 2004. So like 12, 13 years.
Right, okay.
There's about 6 months of the year where there's exactly 10 years between both groups. So there's like Ben's 27, Ava's 17, Daniel's 24, Max is 14.
Okay.
So yeah, there's two groups. And the weird thing is when we were having the second round, everyone would go, oh, new partner. I'd just be like, no. Firstly, none of your business. Secondly, no. Thirdly, we all have the same surname. 4, does it matter?
Yeah.
Oh, new husband. Literally every single appointment.
Really?
And then as you get more and more pregnant, as you know, you become, I mean, you cannot imagine being as intolerant of arseholes as you are as when you're on baby number 4 and you're 9 months pregnant and you've got 3 other kids.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, new partner. No, like, don't ask. People just think they can say anything.
Yeah, they do.
You know, part of me, it's really evil, but part of me wanted to go, oh, yeah, my first husband died. Thanks for bringing it up. Just to shut them up.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the thing. People say
anything
things and
could
they
happen.
don't know. I feel like they want to have almost start a conversation.
Yeah. Do you
and
really
go
want to talk
it in a
about,
clumsy way.
like if it was a divorce, maybe I left him because he beat, like, you know, no, same
Yeah.
husband. Yep. Still here.
And you don't strike me as someone who will take like flippant comments lightly.
Depends on my mood and my menstrual cycle. I'm not going to lie. You know, if I think people's intention is just to be nice and they just, you know, that's fine.
Clumsy.
Yeah, and they don't mean anything. You can usually tell if someone has an ulterior motive. And you think, not today, Barbara. That's the name I have for people online. Who
Really?
Yeah, Barbara and Brian. They're a lovely couple. Everyone hates them.
So what made you decide that you wanted kids young?
My mum and dad had me young. My grandmother had my mum young. I knew I didn't want to be an older parent, as it were, which makes me laugh now because the thought of having babies at my age, I think Halle Berry had a kid at my age. I'd be in bed for months just wanting to sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. How exhausted could you possibly be? I mean, having 2 kids in your 20s is drastically different from having 2 kids in your 30s anyway. Never mind what it must be like to have them in your 40s. They must be permanently exhausted. I'm exhausted now and they're not babies.
So what was it like first time round?
But fun. I mean, hard work.
How old were you?
22 when I had Ben.
Okay.
Yeah, hard work. We lived with my mother-in-law for a while, and then we got our own place when Daniel was a baby. So we lived with my
That's
mother-in-law.
got to be tough, living with a mother-in-law when you've got a newborn.
Yeah, not really though. My mother-in-law was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, she was really cool. She probably had all of us through her house at one point or another.
Really?
Oh, come live with me, love. It'd be fine. One of those. And actually, the support is always there because my mum's up north.
Yeah. And
it was nice to have a woman around. She had 6 kids herself, so she was totally unfazed by anything. They'd fall down. She'd go, "Oh, he'll be all right."
So not like overbearing and trying
God,
to do
no,
things.
no, totally left us to our own devices.
That's
and
nice.
would take my side if we ever bickered or argued or anything. Don't you talk to my Kaz like that. My husband would be like, she's my mother, I'd be like, because your mum loved me. Evil.
And what was it like when you moved out of there then and you were on your own?
Yeah, interesting. I think then I thought, okay, this is going to be hard. 2 small children in central London, 1 income. But the mum part was always easy.
Really?
The mum part was always the joyful part. The money side is what sucked, and the having to work and the pay bills and all that sort of stuff. Because neither of us came from money, so everything we've just worked solidly for 30 years.
Do you think that pressure affected how you mother? Because for me, I feel like that does.
Not really, because I only was really working solidly after Ava and Max were born. Ben and Dan had me at home.
Right.
And then, they would have me at home during the day, and then when they went to bed, I would go out and waitress. When Jim came in, we would just tag team in and out, and that's really, really hard because you never see each other. You're both exhausted. So it was only really no, I don't think I did because my mum worked and my grandmother worked, so I never saw it as shameful having to go to work.
Yeah.
And now if they try it, Ava tries to say to me things like, "Oh, you're never here when I want to talk to you." And I, anyone hearing that must think, "Oh, that's dreadful." But when you see her face, what she means is, "You're not here when I talk to you, so give me 20 quid and everything will be fine." She's a teenager. She's not. The ulterior motive is always cash or wanting permission to do something that I've already told her she can't do.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they just see me working, and if they ever try anything like, "Oh, can we go to so-and-so?" And I'll say, "No, I'm tired." And they'll go, "You're always tired." And I'll go, "That's because I work for everything and have to pay all the bills and everything that you do is supported by me, so shut your face." And then they go, "All right." No guilt there at all.
I will not feel guilty. No,
I mean, because, you're there when it matters, like when they've been ill and, when they're hospitalised, of course, you're there. It's just, you don't go, "I've got a meeting."
Yeah.
Then you it gives you a very strong line of what's important, what isn't. And I can read kids well. So if I knew there was something up, like I would go in and say good morning to them, and I could smell their breath. They get that breath, that sort of sweet smell when they're not going to
be ill.
And I'd go to Jim, "Oh, God, Max is getting sick." And he'd go, "What are you talking about?" And then about 4 hours later, he'd have a raging temperature.
Yeah.
So that sort of, so I always had that. And he was at home. So even when they had like chicken pox and stuff like that, I didn't have to be at home. I could still go and work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard. I think having young children in central London is always going to be hard because the childcare costs are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But always good fun, And I was never the mother that wanted to spend hours in the park.
Oh, really?
Oh, God, no. Shoot me in the face.
So what did you do?
Soft play would make me go full throat punch.
So what did you do?
I'd put the telly on and I'd play with them, and we'd go and visit people. I'd go and visit people with kids and let them play with other kids.
Yeah.
And I'd go to soft play and all that sort of stuff. But just thinking, please God, get me home.
Yeah.
Please God, that kid is snotting all over my son and I'm going to kill him, and I'm just not good. Like, I
But
love
for some people,
my
that's
kids.
so refreshing to hear as well, because it's all, you know,
I just
having
think when
another
people
mum.
say, oh, I love soft play, I think you lying bitch. No one loves soft play. That's why places like Gambardo's have to put in like bars so the mothers can have alcohol. Soft play is the biggest and best contraception you could get. No, thank you. No, thank you. The only good thing about soft play is that it wears them out.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And
Go on.
having had 3 boys,
Yeah,
they do need a lot of
they
physical.
do. Yeah. Oh, I would go and sit in the park and go on then. I'm not going to entertain you. There's a park over there. Go play. Terrible. Shocking. My husband's the opposite. He'd spend all day in the park with them, take him swimming, you know. We're complete opposites.
Yeah.
You know, if he had to go to work, he'd be like, oh my God, get me to work quick. These kids are doing my nut.
But there's different ways of entertaining them, and I think having more than one, they entertain each other.
Yeah, they do, especially young boys. They're just, it's constant, you know, play fighting, real fighting. Lego, it's always a good one. Dinosaurs were the older 2, that was their favourite.
Oh, really?
Dinosaurs. Just everywhere you'd walk on them and go like, stand on it like you do an upturned plug and be like, fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex up my toe.
I'm just in that mode, that phase at the moment, but I'm swearing at Tom each time, because I'm just like, it's him. He brought the Lego into the house.
Poor Tom.
I think it's a selfish thing that he wants the Lego.
You should put it away then.
Yeah. Buzz likes sitting down. So there's Star Wars Lego. Buzz likes sitting down, watching Star Wars while Tom builds the Lego.
Yeah. I remember when one of the kids got a Harry Potter castle or house or something and Jim built it.
Really?
Yeah, the whole thing. And he was all proud of himself, and then the next time some kids came around, they destroyed it, and he was wanting to kill the kids, you know. So one thing, isn't it, you know, you love your kids, you would die for them. Most other people's kids, I'm like, don't really like you, and you're ugly too.
I think there is a thing. Only my children make me broody. My children make me broody.
Other people's kids make me broody.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, my nipples still go hard if I see a baby. Your kids always make me broody. Good job they're not here. Ruth's kids are shocking. Ruth's
Really?
model. Oh, my God. Every time I see them, I go, oh, my God, clutch the boob. Ovary explosion. And then I think, no, poor bladder control. That's enough. Enough children there, thank you.
You've already got the bladder control issues.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah, no. You get more cats.
So what were your births like?
My what, sorry?
Births.
Long,
while we're talking about bladder control.
long, drawn out, all sort of fairly different. I had huge babies. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. Ben was 9'11".
Oh,
Episiotomy, never again.
really?
Ugh. When I went to have Daniel, who was 10 pounds, I had a male Belgian midwife, imagine.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was like, he was very, so Mummy would like to, it was like a sketch. And I just remember,
think that paired with you
Yeah.
is the hilarious thing.
and I just remember saying to him, quick FYI, mate, if you come near me with scissors for an episiotomy, I'm going to use them to chop your dick off. And he was just like, okay, so no episiotomy. And then I had a little tear, which was much more preferable. Much more preferable. Ava's birth, Jim still calls carnage.
Okay.
And even though I talk about it, he goes, and shivers.
Really?
Yeah, it was just a lot of fluid.
Okay.
Probably the best way of putting it.
Okay.
Every kind of bodily fluid you could think of, save the man's.
Right.
Poo, wee from both of us,
Okay.
blood everywhere. It was not pretty. But, you know, she was like 3 pushes, but the labours are long for me.
Right, okay.
I labour like a frigging elephant.
Okay.
It's like forever going. But when the births come around, I think they say, don't they, that bigger babies are easier because they help themselves push out.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. And then Max, I was induced, and we think he was a couple of weeks early. He should have been a September baby. He was an August baby. And I
Right.
had guilt about that because I wanted to be induced because I didn't want to play another year of childcare. I was like, if he's born in August, he'll be in that year at school. And if he's born in September, we've got to pay another year of childcare. And if there's only a few days in it, what difference does it make? You're going to induce me anyway, so do it early. So they induced me on like the 26th, and he was born on the 28th just to teach me a lesson via C-section.
Ah.
He was born asleep, and he's still asleep now, 14 years later.
Is he really chilled?
Totally chilled, totally like, just, you know, like a sloth. His favourite animal is a sloth, and it's very, very telling of Max. It's like, meh, he's typical youngest child. Nothing phases him. He's just like, yeah, Max, the house is on fire. Yeah, but is it really on fire? Or is it just like a little bit of smoke? Because do I have to move? You know. And that's what he was like when I gave birth to him. They pulled him out, he was fast asleep. Imagine going through labour and everything, and they're trying to stimulate everything, and no, literally snoring. I said to Jim, go and take a picture of him quick. And we brought a picture of him when he first opened his eyes, and he looks so pissed off. Literally, like, his face is just like, what the fuck, what's happened? Why is there bright light? What are these people doing? I was having a sleep. Leave me alone. So I think he should have been a September baby. And then I said to him yesterday, funnily enough, I think he was supposed to be a September baby. And then because I've always had guilt. I was like, oh my God, he should have been another, he should have been another couple of weeks cooking. He wasn't fully cooked. And then when he was born, and they said, oh, he's 8-14. And of course, that's a big baby, but it was our smallest.
For you,
So the midwife shouts across, oh, he's a whopper. And I'm going, it was not that big to me.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, he's £8.14. And Jim said, oh, you're slipping, love. And of course, all the midwives are horrified on my behalf, but I just burst out laughing. I'm like, yeah, I'm really slipping. He's a turkey, for Christ's sake. But yeah, he was, and I said to him yesterday, oh, I always have guilt because I had you induced. He went, no, I'm glad I was an August baby. I'd hate to be a year behind. I'm a year ahead. I thought, oh, thank God he's my child. That part of him is my child. So that relieved all my guilt.
Well, that's good to hear because my Max is an August baby.
Yeah. August what?
24th.
Oh, he's 28th. Yeah. It's hard. But haven't they changed this school year now since my Max was a baby, where if they're born in the summer, they can start the following summer or something? I think they're tweaking it so that the young ones can sort of join the year before, and then they kind of mix and match a bit. So I don't know. Yeah, because he was always the youngest, never had a birthday party, which actually was joyful. No one was around.
Instead.
Yeah, I'd be like, one holiday, we'll have to be in town for my birthday. I'm like, yeah, but no one else is in town for your birthday, so why can't we be away? Because it's my birthday. So every time it's his birthday, I'm like, okay, we have to be back it's always bank holiday too. Bank holiday weekend is always Max's birthday, so it's fine. And he relieved my guilt yesterday. So, and also he paid me back by making me have a section, the little git.
Was that hard, having a section compared to the others? Well, in fact, what was your hardest recovery?
Ben's, the first one,
really?
The episiotomy. Just because it's so uncomfortable. They go through, they cut through so many layers, and the stitches are so deep, and it's so grim.
Well, and it's not in the best. If you want to move at all, that you're moving that.
Oh, the first poo after you've had an episiotomy. No, thank you. They said, we're not going to let you go home until you poo. I said, well, you better set up for Christmas then, because nothing's coming out down there until that's healed. But you better give me all the laxatives you have, and it better be like pissing through the eye of a needle, because I'm not putting any pressure down there. It is disgusting. You'd go to the toilet and have to hold the area and pee all over your hand just because you thought, I'm going to split in two. Yeah. No, thank you.
I think by that point I was fairly used to peeing all over my hand because the amount of urine tests they make you do.
Yeah.
Why make a pregnant lady do a urine test in that little
You're just like trying to get your hand under in a cubicle.
You don't know where anything is. No. You can't reach.
And you can always see that the women who know that another woman's just had her hand in a bowl of pee, because when they come out, you're looking at each other like, I know, mate, I know. No consultant with any brain would shake a woman's hand. You'd be like, no, she's had a hand down the toilet bowl, maybe not. No, I mean, the C-section wasn't easy, and also they stapled me instead of stitching me, which is a bit grim. Pulling the staples out was a bit...
Is that what you do? So it doesn't... No. So that they just come out with you rather than having to go back in?
No, you have to have them removed. Ooh. So that wasn't easy, but equally...
Especially not having the other three, yeah.
Yeah. But Jim was at home, so, it's all doable. And like I say, my mother-in-law was supportive, and you forget, don't you, as well? You forget how hard it is.
Yeah.
Once they're older, you think, oh, lovely. And then you look back and you think, Jesus, I look tired. Or,
Photos.
Yeah. Or more for me, God, I look thin. Because I was just too busy to eat.
Really?
Yeah, especially after Daniel. After Daniel, I was so skinny.
That was your second?
Yeah. And also, he was like, a bowling ball, so I was breastfeeding this tank. And he still is the tank of the family. It's like a Hoover at the table. You're not going to eat that.
What was your hardest jump? Like 0 to 1, 1 to 2?
0 to 1 was hard. 0 to 2 was just busy.
Yeah.
So it was fun. Probably 3 to 4 in terms of, because I was working full time. I sort of didn't really take any proper maternity leave. But because I worked from home, I was kind of around. It was all doable, because I'm just very, let's just get on with it.
Yeah. Not
big on complaining. So, which is great for getting on with work. Not so great when your kids are sick. Oh, shut up, you'll be fine. And then they're like, actually, I've got mumps. Oh, right, okay, best we phone the hospital then, okay. Yeah, but none of it was really... I never look back and think of any of it as hard.
Yeah.
I look back and think of it as raising a family. It is hard, it's all hard. The money side of it was harder than anything. Worrying about money is much harder than raising the kids. The kids are fine. Throw a bagel their way or a donut or, they're like, oh, fine, thanks, Mum. But the bank man doesn't accept food. Yeah. So the work that had to go alongside raising the family was harder than the kids themselves.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jim would say the same. You know, the hours you have to put in and the stress, the worry of that side of things is much harder than the kids. Our kids were easy.
Really?
And I was a nanny for a while before I had Ben.
Oh, so you're used to
they were trained like machines.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When I see people now and I think, oh, you poor, when they say, oh, he still won't sleep through the night, and I think, your kid's 2. What are you doing? Get that kid in bed and tell him to and go to sleep. Then I think, okay, be nice, Caroline. Be nice. This poor woman hasn't had any sleep for ages. She's deranged. She thinks she's doing something wrong. You know, it's not. It's just, you know, some kids are harder than others, I suppose. But Ben was sleeping from like 6 till 5 by 3 months.
Really? I think when you are sleeping as well, that really does help.
Yeah. Oh, sleepless nights are the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. When we had Max, and he, you know, and they're all great babies. So I didn't even have, none of them were screamers. They'd wake up, you feed them, they'd crash out again. That was it. Yeah. You know, they're like sharks, aren't they? They sleep, they poo, they eat.
Yeah. Are sharks like that?
Yeah, well, they also have sex too, but that comes in later.
Okay.
So now I talk about Daniel as if he's a shark, because I'm like, you know, he shags, he sleeps, he shits, he eats, that's it, he's done. He's 24, so that's fine. A bit more appropriate. A lot of men are like sharks. Gee, let's face it.
Okay.
But yeah, they were just good babies. You know, they were happy and well fed and healthy. Max was hospitalised about 1.5 years with pneumonia, which was traumatic. But you know, there was no real. You know, I see what some poor people have to put up with. You know, and you know what they're challenged with is probably a better. You know, you don't put up with it when they're your babies. You're just doing it.
Yeah.
And so in that aspect,
how long was he in hospital for?
Can't remember. I've blocked it out.
Really?
About a week. Yeah. And it's awful because when they're that small, he was totally unresponsive. I was at work. My husband called and said, you have to come home. And then I knew because he never, you know, Jim could handle anything. By then it was kid number 4. So imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
And I couldn't get home quick enough. And I walked in. I said, we've got to go to hospital. And then when he came out, I said to Jim, I just had this inkling. I said, you know what? I wonder if he's lactose intolerant because he couldn't keep any milk down. He was just constantly puking phlegm and, you know, milk. And it was just grim. And I said, just pop to the chemist, love, and just pick up a Cow and Gate lactose free and let's just see. Because my brother had a milk allergy and his son had a milk allergy. I didn't, but it was in the family. And so we bought lactose free and he was a different kid within 2 feeds.
Really?
He was unbelievable. And then and instinctively, Max still doesn't have a lot of milk. So he's fine. He's not allergic, but he clearly had some kind of intolerance and he was keeping, as soon as he kept his milk down, he thrived. But yeah, it was awful. Just, you know, constant puking but he wasn't really, it wasn't like that when he was a baby. It was just when he would get a cold, it would go straight to his chest. He was always phlegmy and chesty and, you know, snotty and yeah, after like 2 feeds, he was a different kid. And that again was just me thinking instinctively, okay, this is not normal. You've done it 3 times. Use your brain. I remember walking down the street going, use your brain. Oh God, maybe it's the milk because of my brother.
I think it's quite hard though to kind of use your instincts as a mum sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you've got so many different voices in your head.
Yeah.
Kind of going, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing this, you should be breastfeeding, you should be using a bottle, like don't use a dummy. Like all these different voices. So it's really hard actually to cancel all of that out and just do what you think is right for your children. Yeah,
I think though, in an arrogant way, I never had to worry about that.
Doesn't surprise me.
It genuinely never had any pressure from my mother-in-law, never had any pressure from my mum. Never worried about how other people thought of what I was doing and raising a baby. Like, it's absolutely none of your business. Why would you even think? I mean, I'm so glad I don't have babies on social media in this day and age. Because, you know, they just, giving them yogurt now is like, oh, you're sure you should be doing that? It's full of sugar. I'm like, it's a yogurt, for the love of God. My lot lived on yogurts when they were little. Yogurts and fruit, that's all they used to eat. Like, yogurts, porridge and fruit. That's what they wanted to eat. You know? And then when they, you know, you realise it just comes full circle. They hit, you know, they'll eat anything you make them until they open their mouth. And then they're like, I don't want that, it's grim. They may as well say that when they go, ugh. And then they stop eating everything you make them. And you think, he's only ever going to eat white food as long as they live. And then, you know, like yesterday in the pub, the boys were ordered a side of cabbage. And they come back to it and they enjoy food again. But everyone goes through that phase. So I never listened to what anyone said. I breastfed all of them, but in decreasing periods of time because I was too busy.
Yeah.
You know, I think they all had a dummy. Ben didn't, he sucked his thumb.
Right.
But I put his thumb in his mouth and then I had guilt because I thought, he can't have a dummy, I'll make him suck his thumb. How does that work?
You can't take his thumb away.
And now, and then he had to have braces. Like,
oh, no.
You know, so it's just one of those things. And then after that, I thought, I'll just give him dummies and take them away.
Yeah.
And so we did that.
Yeah.
Num-nums, used to call them. On a num-num. No.
But you're also good at, I think, taking. I know you're a mum of teenagers really now, or men.
Yeah.
But you're really good at making people that are going through it now not feel guilty
I
or
won't
judged.
have it at all. If I see people, especially other women, having a go at people I know on Instagram, I'm straight in. Why? Did you wake up and think, I'm going to be a total to this poor woman today who's just trying to feed her kid? Stop it. No. And that's usually all it takes, because, it's not so much the person who's receiving it, as you'll know, you've been on the receiving end is one thing, but it's everyone else reading it.
Yeah.
There's the amount of times where I've said, I did a blog post ages ago, something about top tips for pregnancy. And it was more about raising your kid than, because I'd seen so much of it, really, really at the beginning of things like Instagram and stuff, where people were just hounding young mothers, you should breastfeed, you shouldn't use a bottle, and da-da-da. And I thought, whose business is it of yours? It's almost like the internet, and people say, the internet changes people. The internet has not changed anyone at all. It's exposed everyone. Yeah. That's the difference. Yeah. If you're walking down the street, you're not going to walk past a woman in a cafe who's feeding a baby on the boob and go, oh, you should use a bottle. First of all, she'd probably chin you. I know I would. So I'm always defending whatever a woman wants to do, unless she's beating the shit out of a kid. That's slightly different. Yeah, yeah. Except for anti-vaxxers. That gets my rage. So
let's talk about that.
Okay.
Anti-vaxxers.
I can't. I literally, the rage spills in my mouth like bile.
And there's a really good reason for that.
Yeah, Daniel had mumps last year and could easily have died, and he was 24. Imagine what it would do to a baby. And we had all the specialists, everyone he was in critical care for a week, hooked up to IVs, and it took him months to recover. He lost like 3 stone. So imagine that's a baby, and you had the opportunity to inoculate your child to make sure he wouldn't get it. And all my kids had all their injections, because then I had people saying, well, if it worked, why did he get mumps? The things people will say to you on the forum of social media still shocks me, because they wouldn't say it across the table. They would say, oh, Caroline, if he had his inoculation, why did he still get mumps? But boys in particular, and this is what you'll have to be aware of, boys in particular are more susceptible to it, and they're supposed to have a booster.
Oh, really? What age?
Like uni.
Oh, okay.
So they recommend now that everyone has a booster of their inoculations, especially boys and mumps. Just leaving sixth form, going into uni, that age group there, because they go to uni, they all get drunk, they all have sex, they all interact with each other, they don't wash as much. This is all from the actual disease control. It's not me,
right.
Well, that's all true. And it spreads. We think Dan caught it at a music festival.
Really?
Yeah. So, I'm all for making a wise decision that's best for your family, doing them individually, doing whatever your paediatrician says, absolutely. But the people who just say, I had some woman say, we heal our children with, I can't even remember what it was, because it was so inane. I thought, if I saw you in the street, I would have to knock you out. It was literally, we cure our children the old-fashioned way, not the big pharma way. And I just said, yeah, that doesn't work when your kid's dying in the ER. Namaste my ass. Because she literally said namaste to me. Oh, you're just dumbfounded. And so when Kat Von D came out and said she was going to raise a vegan child with no vaccinations, I lost my shit.
And you lost it because that's a person with a profile.
Yeah.
Sort of promoting.
Do what you want with a vegan. You're still feeding your kid. Vegan kids is fine, but to say you're not, and California is the problem, and that's where she is. So to have had a week of all the top specialists coming in, and they didn't diagnose Daniel for like 3 weeks. They kept sending him away from the GP saying it was flu, and he was dying before our eyes, literally wasting away. And then eventually he was hallucinating, and he came into our bedroom on a Saturday night, and he seemed really calm. And we sort of sat up and said, oh, he's up. That must be good. And he went, yeah, can one of you kind of just come and sleep with me? Because I think if I close my eyes, I won't wake up. Completely calm. And we both, you shoot out of bed like in a film. And then we went into his room, and it was obvious he couldn't even see us when we were next to him. And so having gone through that, when I see people who have the option to keep their kids safe, not take it because they think, and also the other argument is autism the worst thing that could happen to your kid? First of all, they're totally unrelated.
Yeah, completely.
Totally unrelated.
Yeah. So research.
No research. Yeah. I mean, if I saw Andrew Wakefield in the street, you would have to restrain me. I would go for him, 100%, and I'd probably get away with it. When people sort of heard the story, they'd be like, yeah, go for it. So it's the people who go against everything that science says because they've been on Dr. Google and they think herbs and lavender oil are going to do it. And I just think, oh my God, you're a moron. And that's me being polite.
And I guess for you as well, it really highlighted that fact your babies are your babies.
Of course, no matter how old they are.
Yeah.
We, Daniel was in the hospital and I was standing next to him because I had him when I was like 24, 25. And the doctor came in and they try and talk to him and they talk to him as if you're not there. Well, they're always your baby. So he's this fully grown 6'5" man, right? Hooked up to an IV in both arms, couldn't have the lights on in the room. They thought he had meningitis for a while and, they had to have a 45-minute lumbar puncture. But he was so out of it, he didn't even feel the pain. I just sat next to him while he was breaking my hand, And the doctor came in and he said, right, so, and you keep having the same conversation. So, did you not have your inoculations? Talking to him like he was, and he couldn't respond. He was out of his head. And I go, no, he had his vaccine. They were all vaccinated. And he'd go, the doctor would ignore me and talk to Daniel and go, and that's confirmed, is it? And I went, yes, I'm his mother. I took him. And then they go, oh, right. Full Hugh Grant moment. Oh, right, your mum. I'm like, what do you think? I'm his girlfriend. Thanks for the compliment, mate. But, I've got no bra on. My hair's in a bun. Give me a break. God, I might not look 50, but I don't think I look 25. But thank you. Yes, I'm his mother. Yes, he had his inoculation. I cannot have this conversation again. Did you have the booster? What booster? Because we didn't know.
It's just something that's not talked about.
Yeah, well, hopefully it would be now. Apparently, when you go to university, they send it out in part of the plaque.
Right,
but they don't make a big enough deal about it. And Dan didn't go to university. We live in central London. They went straight to work. So there's that whole generation of kids, especially young boys, who are missing out. So Max got his letter through for his 14-year-old boosters. I've never signed anything so quickly in my life. Yep, you're having all of them. And all of them are like, yep, fine. Just, we know. And I think it went viral. The Kat Von D response went viral purely because I had a bit of a profile and I had the story and I thank God I'd asked Daniel if I could use a picture of him because he's in his underwear in the emergency room, hooked up to all these machines with a cloth over his face because he couldn't stand the bright lights. And I said, Dan, I'm just going to do this response. Do you mind if I use this picture? And he was like, no, go for it. Totally chill. He wants the story out there. And then once it got picked up, I said, oh, thank God I asked his permission. Imagine if I put a picture of him out there in his underwear. Bless him. So, I had people, family in America going, hey, Caroline, you're in the Huffington Post. I'm like, yeah, I'm not. My post is, I haven't spoken to anyone about it. Once the BBC called and wanted me to do something, and I think I spoke to the BBC. And then after that, I said, I'm done now. I've said what I've got to say. Yeah. And I'm not buying into the whole, this whole thing about when you go on things like the Good Morning shows where they have black and white.
Yeah.
As in, it's either you are or you're not. There's no debate. There's no debate, but also I'm not here to play games with Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
I've no interest in arguing with someone. If you've got, don't sit me, the worst thing you could do is sit me next to a woman who goes to Pilates and thinks that, CBD oil is going to cure measles on live television. It would not end well for anyone. So I'm just like, no, I think it's wise I say no to all of these things now. BBC over the phone is fine because they can edit me out when I go, she's like, idiot. Yeah, it's fine. It's all good. So I just try not to respond now because everyone knows how I feel,
Did you get a response from the other mum?
What, Kat Von D?
Yeah.
No, there were a few funny comments though. Chloe Morello, who's the biggest Australian YouTuber, Kat Von D had put, she's another massive pro-vaccine. Kat Von D put a picture on her Instagram of blah, 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 new lipstick or whatever, and Chloe Morello wrote underneath, oh, great, does it come with polio as a GWP? And I was cracking up. And she was getting grief. She was the same as me. I think, there are a lot of grey areas in parenting. There's a lot of, is breastfeeding right for everyone? No. Is bottle feeding right for everyone? No. Is it right for some people 100%? Yes. There's a lot of grey area in that. But when you feel about something that you're 100% committed, nothing anyone says would make you think otherwise.
Yeah.
So I don't see the point in trying to argue with some woman who's been on Google who thinks that her baby is too precious to take the vaccine that our kids have all had. There's no point in me arguing with her. If she feels that way, that's down to her and her doctor and her kid. And I pray, don't get me wrong, I hope to God Kat Von D's baby is healthy and safe and lives a long and healthy, happy life. But the problem is that thinking is prevalent in California especially, and that has spread. Measles is back. We got rid of it.
Yeah.
Measles is back. What are we doing?
Well, and we're putting people that are seriously sick in danger by not having those vaccines there.
Thank God. I mean, Daniel had the flu symptoms in beginning of July, and we had my mum's 70th birthday. My mum's got lupus and can't be around anyone with any kind of, even a cold can finish her off, as she says, not me. So Daniel said, I said, I don't think you should come to Nana's party, babe, because if she gets your cold, thank God, because mumps would kill her. 100% killer. There's no way she could survive what Daniel went through in hospital. He was a 24-year-old footballing for like 4 to 8 hours a day. Man, imagine how fit and healthy he is.
As a mother, being by that bedside, that must have just been awful.
Horrific. But in a way, there's nothing that makes you stronger because you are just solid. Jim and I did shifts. We never left his room. I did the night shift because Jim's diabetic, so he needs to get a decent night's sleep and he needs to make sure his sugar's under control. And then I had one night at home. I think I woke up. I can't remember. I woke up in hospital on my birthday, lying on the floor. We got like a blow-up tent bed. Wouldn't leave his side. But he was in his own room, so we just slept on the floor. And when they first came, the hospital are good because they can tell, I think, the parents who you just think, don't even think I'm going home.
Yeah.
Can we examine your son? Well, you can, but I'm going to sit over here in the corner of the room. I'm not leaving him. He doesn't know what you're doing to him. So, yeah, the NHS is a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing.
And has that, I imagine initially with you guys, that would have had a real big effect in terms of him coming home and you all coming together. But I can imagine in your house that it didn't take long for the squabbling and then it all like bickering to start again.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Ben had moved out at that point. Daniel had his own room, and then when we moved him back home, you don't even think about it. When the ambulance came, I thought, right, good, they're taking him in. He'll be fit and healthy in 24 hours because we still didn't really, And I was packing his laptop and his chargers. He was literally unconscious for 5 days. It was ridiculous. The way your mind goes into, okay, I'll make sure he's got his chargers because the first thing he's going to say is, Mum, where's my phone charger? And he was unconscious, literally. So it's, and it was hard because only Jim, myself and Ben could go and see him. Max and Ava weren't allowed in the room.
Because they were too young?
They're too young, yeah. And they knew it was mumps. He was totally in complete quarantine. So it's really interesting. You're sitting there next to your son, completely barefaced, washing in the sink and stuff. And then anyone who comes into the room, even the top consultants, right down to the cleaner, would have a mask, an apron, and fully gloved up to the elbow. And you think, right, okay. And that's the memories I have when people are so sort of haphazard around the world of vaccines. When you see it from the other side, you think, oh, I know. But he's fit and healthy now. Still eats like a horse. Back to normal. But he's still. I think we had proper PTSD for a while, Jim and I. 2016 was without doubt the worst year of our lives.
Really?
100% as parents. Horrific. Teenage years with Ava and Daniel in hospital with mumps right in the middle of the year. And it took him out for months. He was so weak. They said you can't even think about playing football for like 2 months. So he was just, the recuperation was longer than the illness itself.
It must have all just knocked you all for six, even
all
afterwards.
Yeah, all of us. Max and Ava just constantly, because Ava's quite, that sort of teenage girl where she's just like, oh, no, it's fine, but secretly you could tell she was concerned, and Max would cry and... Yeah, horrible. But, we're a really strong family unit. So it was always, you kind of hunker down. It was just us getting Daniel back from hospital, and then it was us, and we locked the doors, and that was it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, vaccine, not a topic I take lightly.
No, and rightly so, rightly so. You said before that you knew that you wanted a girl.
Yeah.
And that's why you went for a third. How is having a girl compared to the boys?
Challenging is probably the best word.
Always been challenging, or challenging now that she's a teenager?
Challenging as a teenager. When the hormones flip on the girls, I just think Satan's in the room every day. I mean, I'm not even overstating. It's like The Exorcist at times. The hormones, and then part of you has empathy, and you think, I remember being that teenage girl.
Yeah. When
your hormones are raging and you just want to cry and you don't even know why, and then you want to laugh at yourself because you were crying and you don't know where your head is at, and yeah. Not the easiest of times. I think we're coming to the end of it now. She's 17.
She's becoming a bit
we
more
all
reasonable.
made it through. Barely.
Well done.
Barely.
You were saying earlier, actually, about how you'd said something very honest on Instagram, and another a woman had said to you, you shouldn't talk to me about your daughter like that.
Yeah.
Been a bit
I
mean
just
to
said,
you.
on her best, on the boys, 3 of the boys put together on their worst day are no match for her and her best. In terms of she could just, the mouth, the attitude, the self-confidence is on another scale. She's like me on crack. Or speed, actually, is a much better analogy. She's like me on speed, but with the confidence of me now at the age of, 15, 16, 17.
Right.
But, and I said something about it on Instagram saying, how much, you give them a kidney, then the next day you want to throttle them. And this woman had jumped in and said, well, it's no wonder she's a handful. You talk about her so terribly. And I think if you look at my post and you can't see the love that comes through it, then you're the moron. But then Ava jumped on, don't you talk to my mum like that, and da-da-da-da-da. And I thought, oh, God, here we go. Yeah, that's my kid. Well, she didn't swear, so it was good. You know. She was like, who even is she? Literally. Don't you talk to my mum like that.
So the thing there, isn't it? I think you can be however you like to each other.
Totally.
But other people need to step back.
Don't try it. Literally, don't try it. But it's always, you know, but every family's like that, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, and she's the spoilt bitch. She is. She's the only girl.
Is she treated differently because she's a girl?
Not by me.
Yeah.
And I say that as, yes, sometimes she gets away with things because she's female, but because I can relate to her. But she is by her dad, 100%. He's useless.
Really?
Useless. And he gets frustrated, whereas with the boys, he's just like, I said, no, what's the matter with you, prick? With Ava, he's like, why is she still asking me? Why? He doesn't understand how she can just keep going. She's like an ever-ready battery. She's just like, but dad, why? But dad. And I can hear her go, and I just start laughing. I think he's going to blow his top in a minute. And then I hear him going, shut up.
You can have it. Have what you want.
Oh, literally. Whereas I'll go, don't you give in. And he's like, will you come and deal with her then? I mean, it's just, the shouting we've had over Ava is probably more than any of the other, but... You know, I scream at her.
Really?
Oh, yeah. But then when she's leaving, she's like, bye, Mum, love you. I'm like, love you, boo. Be careful. No drugs, no sex, please. And she goes, ha, ha, and then runs out the door.
So you can literally go from shouting at each other. And I think that is family as well.
Yeah,
For
totally.
me, that's growing up. You shout and then it's like it's gone.
Totally, yeah. The one thing we don't do as a family is hold any grudges.
Yeah.
Ever. We just haven't. So Jim and I don't hold grudges. The kids don't hold grudges. And they call each other horrible names. I mean, their names are unmentionable. The things they have each other. I mean, I think Ava is in her brother's phones as a mixture of slag and something else. They're horrible. But yet, you know, if a boy breathed near Ava in the wrong capacity, Daniel would end him. That's what they're like. It's so strange. And I've learned not to get involved.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you go in to try and diffuse something and then they all turn at you.
Right, okay.
So you go in and go, come on, stop it now, Ava. Why would you? And they'll go, don't interfere. I'm like, oh, Christ, okay, kill each other, that's fine. If you could just swear a bit quietly so the neighbours don't complain, that'd be great, thanks.
Do you all still live in London?
Yeah. Yeah, the boys moved out into share a flat and they're like 5 minutes away.
Was that hard, the moving out?
God, no. God, no. I put them on the payroll to get them out.
Did you?
Yeah, here's some money, come and work for me now, get the fuck out of the house, please. Like, I love you, but get out. You're too big. They're huge. They're like 6'5" and 6'6".
We were talking about this the other day because we were sat with all three boys. We suddenly realised that at some point we're going to be sat with three men who'll probably be taller than us.
Yeah, if not more. And the girlfriends.
Yeah.
Oh, no, mate, get out. Like, I love you, get out. Because they know as well that home is still home. So they moved out. The next morning we heard someone come in and Jim went, who's that? Because Max and Ava won't be up that early. I said, oh, it must be Ben and Dan. And they had come to our house, bought their washing. They moved out the day before. Bought their washing, left it in front of the washing machine, made breakfast and left the dishes. So no, Giovanna, I was not sad when they moved out. Oh, and also, they didn't move away.
Okay.
I see them every day. They're around the corner. They work with us, you know. No, as a family, we could lock the doors forever and just be perfectly content, the six of us. Some ex-girlfriends, maybe not so much, but that's fine.
How is that? How is the handling of girlfriends? Because obviously you know
and boyfriends.
And boyfriends, you know how you all work together, and then all of a sudden there's this other person in the mix.
Yeah.
And we know that relationships, they make you act in a different way, especially when you're young and you're learning that actually relationships shouldn't change you.
Yeah.
You know, how is that being like having to bite your tongue a bit? Do you bite your tongue a bit?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because ultimately I think that I don't really buy into the whole, oh, I've got a daughter and I've also got a gun. Right, well, trust me when I tell you, my daughter can take care of herself. I didn't raise her to need to be protected. If we were walking down Bond Street the other day, and I've reached that age where you walk down Bond Street and if you're with your daughter, you know that the men aren't whistling for you. Ava's 17 and stacked and packed and, has this long hair and has the attitude of like, yeah, I know I'm fit. And we're walking down the road and she turned around and she went, yeah, what? And I thought, oh my God, it was all over before I even knew what had happened. And she went and kissed her teeth at him. And I was like, well, okay, could you just fill me in because I'm a bit slow? And she went, that builder man. I went, pardon? In English? And she went, and then she was down the street, like kissing her teeth at him, like, who are you? Trying to say, like, don't. And I thought it was just as well she saw him because if he'd have said something to her in front of me, I probably would have done the same thing. But as a mother, it's much worse.
But no teeth kissing.
No, I wouldn't have kissed his teeth. I would have said, you disgusting. Like, I would have gone full mother.
Yeah.
that's my baby. She might look like a Victoria's Secret angel. You know. Yeah, it's very odd. But she has a boyfriend that we love, and he puts up with her. God bless him. So that's what we say to him. God bless you. You know. We've had some girlfriends we've really liked.
Yeah.
Some not so much.
And is it hard sort of being there for them through that and not giving them too much, like not guiding them? Do you know what I mean? Like not going to go, you know.
It's all right. It's quite easy because if you think your kids are sensible, you kind of trust they know what they're doing for themselves.
Yeah.
I would occasionally, you know, sort of say, oh, is everything okay? You know, trying to be, and then I'd be sort of behind the scenes going to Jim going, I think they've had a row. And he'd be going, shut up. And I'd go, oh my God, they're rowing. Like in the bedroom next door, they're rowing. And he'd go, don't interfere, just turn the telly up, you know, that sort of thing. So
you don't, if they've had a row, text the girlfriend and be like, I know that he might have said that, but he didn't actually mean that.
God, no. God, no. The boys would kill me. Totally kill me. I don't know. I just love all of it. It's all fun. It's never a dull day, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Never a dull day. It's just noise and chaos and, you know, they're always hungry. I mean, the boys who don't live here anymore, everyone who comes into the house straight to the kitchen, straight to the fridge, no matter what age. All of them. What have we got to eat? Well, what's for dinner? I don't want that. Can we get takeout? I mean, we live in central London, so I know it's easy, you know, but it's one of those things where the family WhatsApp group will get, anyone want McDonald's breakfast? And I'm like, could you just make toast and cereal? No, Mum, can we have a sausage and McMuffin? Oh, Mum. And then the phone's going ping, 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 ping. I think, oh, my God, who invented WhatsApp? No.
But that's what I love about you and the fact, and hearing about it. I think because you're all very much like, I want to say bolshy.
Yeah. Confident.
But there's this very passionate love there.
Yeah, we're all passionate.
And actually there is a vulnerability there as well.
Oh, totally. Well, I mean, we're all passionate about everything. Yeah. We're passionate people.
About life.
Life in general. You know, I love life, and I think we've sort of passed that on. You know, we're all massive media heads. We all watch Pointless together, and we have the Pointless app and play it between each other. And just like, you know, just like they'll pause it. They'll go, Mum, it's a Duran Duran question. I'm like, I'm coming.
When you all do a pub quiz together as well.
Yeah, we do the pub quiz together. Yeah, and argue and have a fight, and then pass the sheet to the table next to you for marking. And I usually take it over and go, I'm terribly sorry if you can't read it. All the kids were fighting and we can't spell things. So, but it's all good fun. You know, Max will go, I told you it was that. You never listened to me because I'm the youngest. And we're like, and then of course we'll go, shut up, Max, and prove him right.
But I think if your children are older and even teenagers and you're choosing to spend that time together, you're doing a blooming good job. Yeah.
No, we would all happily hang out with each other all the time. All the time. I'm sure the boys would get a bit bored and want to go and see a woman occasionally, but you know, they're more. You know, we work together too, so they're in the office, and then but nothing changes. Even in the office, they'll walk in and go, "You had lunch?" I'm like, "It's 10 o'clock in the morning, son. Are you hungry? Do you want to go and get food?" "Oh yeah, thanks, Mum." As if I'd offered. Right, okay.
What's been the most challenging stage?
Teen.
Really?
All of them teen. Teenagers are horrible.
You're a bit scared that you're about to go through that with Max?
No, because he's my baby and I've got him trained. So even if he tries it, I think we're so worn down by the other three. We're just like, yeah, he's a teenager. Leave him. He's fine. You know, one day he'll wash. You know, every day I'm like, Max, please brush your teeth. We're paying for these braces, dude. And, I mean, you know, and also you stink. And he goes like, no, I don't. I'm like, you're not smelling your own hair, you idiot. God, you're not a smelly person. Your hair needs to be washed. You've had games. And he's like, ugh. Like, it's such an effort. He's such a teenager. It cracks me up. He's very Kevin and Perry.
Really?
Ugh. God, what do you want? Like, Max, can you get me so-and-so? Oh, I have to do everything.
Do you feel like going through it, like with round 2, that you've almost, you know that you're going to get them back? So you're going into it a bit differently?
Yeah, but Ava pushed us to the point where I'm not sure we want her back. I mean, God bless her. You know, I love her. She's our baby girl, but she was a handful.
Do you feel like you were getting ready when she turned in, like, or was she always a little bit? Because she's
always been feisty.
Yeah.
You know, she's always been cute and feisty and sassy, but then sassy turns into, oh my God, I'm going to throat punch you. And you think, you know, it makes me laugh when I see, you know, when I see sort of mummy bloggers and everything's so perfect, and then they say, you know, and my beautiful baby girl, da 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 da, and I think, oh, I cannot wait till that kid's 15. 15 is horrific.
Really?
15 and 16 are hard teenage girls. Boys, boys are easier for the mum because they tend to just go away quietly for a while and spend a lot of time in their room or the shower.
Okay.
You know, once they discover the shower and what you can do in the shower, they're fine.
Okay. Okay.
Pretty much. You know, please do it in the shower, not in the bed. Thanks very much.
Oh, Caroline!
Mate, you've got it all. I was going to say you've got it all to come. Ba-bang! Hey! But yeah, girls, well, equally though, I think that's why boys aren't as angsty. They have something they can never release.
Yeah.
Girls are just this fireball of, and all her friends are the same.
Emotion as well.
The emotions are just heightened. You know, the girls, all her friends were the same. Just, you know, the mothers would text me and be like, oh my God, where is she gone? And I'm like, oh, she'll be back in a couple of years if you haven't killed her by then.
We were saying earlier about the bond as well, because you had a strong bond with your mum, and your mum had a strong bond with the but you know what that one-on-one female relationship's like.
Ava's the only daughter of an only daughter of an only daughter. Yeah. So we're all very tight knit. You know, Ava calls my mum spontaneously, who lives up north. You know, my mum will speak to me. She'll go, "Oh, I spoke to Ava today," and I think, "Oh, it's nice for you. I didn't." And then some days it's like, "Well, I'm glad she's speaking to you." You know,
it's good though, isn't it? Knowing that they've got that other person.
Yeah, they're very, and also, you know, you kind of want your kids to be. We've always had the kind of kids where the neighbourhood shops, these shop owners and stuff would go, "Oh, we love your children. They're so polite," and Jim and I would go like, "Well, our lot," because at home they're not. And you think, okay, well that's fine if they're getting out if they can be totally themselves and just, you know, around you and at home. Yeah. But to their grandparents especially, and then to everyone else, they think they're angels and they adore them because they're so polite and friendly. You think, okay, that's fine. I can live with that. I can live with calling each other the C word. But when they go around the corner to Mr. Blogg's shop, they're like, "Hi, thank you. Can I have a packet of crisps, please?" And then they come in and go, "I hate you." Okay, lovely.
So the teenage years are the hardest and girls are the hardest.
100%. And I feel bad for people like Clemmy, who's got 4 girls. I just think, may Jesus be with you and the 4th. You're going to need it all. Like, I can't even begin to imagine. I mean,
that's a lot, isn't it?
It's a lot. And it's not their fault. That's the thing. You know, from a female point of view, you totally understand why they're like that because you've been there. Yeah. I remember being a teenager and being so confused and just, you know, and I think that's why we make a joke of it. You know, we're very good at not letting things get to the point where people are genuinely really angry and horrible towards each other and stuff because we laugh. Yeah. And if you've got 4 members of your family laughing in your face, you're either going to throw a punch at them all or eventually laugh yourself and call them all a bastard, which is what happens in our house. Right. You know, so... No, it's, teen years are not my favourite. It's when people go, "Oh, but my daughter's an angel." And I think, yeah, she's doing something behind the scenes. It's got to be doing something. If I've just got that kid who happened to just be Satan, I'm not going to be happy.
But as a mum of boys, though, I do kind of feel like maybe that's why girls are so angelic as babies. Yeah. Because for me, whenever I'm with people who just have girls, I like my boys won't sit still. Yeah. You know, I always look at the girl and go, "Oh, why won't mine just sit down and read a book?" No, they're punching each other, or you know, they're doing something that's inappropriate or a bit dangerous.
Playing with their willies. Yes. Sticking pencils down their foreskin.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, we've had a. I had one of my children who shall remain nameless, mainly because I've blocked it out and I can't remember which one. So I remember going into the living room when they'd taken their pants off and they were sitting with their knees akimbo and they had their penis and they were pulling it back, putting a pencil in the end of it, but the rubber end of a pencil, and then wrapping the foreskin and the penis around the bottom of the pencil. And I thought, well, I'm not going to use that one again. I go, okay, maybe not stick things in your weenie. Thank you.
How old were they?
Kid baby. Like, you know, well, they're old enough to do that. So you've got to be, what, 2-ish, 3-ish?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, boys and their penis is very entertaining because you, as a mum, you have to be like, okay, it's perfectly normal to want to play with your willy, but you need to do it when you're on your own. Yeah. Because mummy doesn't want to see it. Yeah. And then they'd be like, "Why?" Wang, wang, wang. You know, like, "Oh, okay." And I go, "Jim, can you help me?" He'd be like, "Nope, he'll be fine. He'll figure it out." I'm like, "Oh my God, help me." So, but you know, they do. They eventually go in the shower.
Yeah, they do. It's all good. So I know after reading your blog that you've got 4 children, but you've actually had 7 pregnancies.
Yeah.
So you've had 3 miscarriages.
Yeah.
When were they?
In between. So I had Ben and Dan, miscarriage, Ava, miscarriage, Max, miscarriage. Right. Yeah. So we never had a problem getting pregnant. Well, if anything, I think we're hyper fertile.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just looks at you.
Share a toothbrush and I'm knocked up. So, which could be very, very helpful. And I feel, you know, terrible when I see so many friends who've had such a hard time conceiving. I don't make a joke of it in that sense, but and there was a stage where holding on to them was a But weirdly, I kind of always knew that the pregnancy hadn't taken.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I always kind of knew. And yet when I was pregnant with Ava and Max, I knew solidly. And, Max, I was like, right, that's it, I'm pregnant. It's a boy and I'm going to call him Max. And Jim was like, okay, you're really overthinking this whole getting things planned out in advance. I'm like, no, that's what it is. And so, but I knew that and I wasn't overly traumatized. I'm quite pragmatic in terms of they were early weeks. One had gone to 12. It was like a phantom miscarriage. I'd missed, my body still thought I was pregnant, but they said it had stopped growing at like 8 weeks.
Did you find out at the scan then?
Yeah. So I think the first time it happens, you're shocked.
Yeah.
Because you think, oh, wow. For me, I was like, well, we had 2 kids. This is a breeze.
Especially after 2 kids, I think.
Yeah.
Because
I was like,
you
no,
just
it's a
think
breeze. We have great big healthy boys. And then we went for the scan and you can tell immediately because they go, just going to get a second opinion. And you think, right, well, that's it. I'm either having 4 kids or I've had a miscarriage. So, and Jim was really shocked. He was like, oh, wow. For him, it was just like oh, things go wrong. Not in a bad way, just like, oh, okay. But I think we're both so eternally grateful for what we did have. Yeah. And you don't have time to dwell. No. When you've got 2 kids, I think when I had the first miscarriage, I think I was working at Space NK. So that was like 1999 or 2000. So the boys were like 6 and 4 or something like that. So I didn't have time to dwell. And I knew I could get pregnant. I didn't have a problem getting pregnant. And I just put it down to one of those things, as we tend to do as women. Okay, well, it's one of those things, And obviously when you've had multiple miscarriages and it becomes something that's obviously more apparent and more serious, then I can only, I feel for women when I see them, they've had multiple miscarriages and they've lost babies quite late on. I mean, it's horrific. Yeah. Because as any pregnant woman knows, as soon as you're pregnant, you have everything in your head. Yeah. Okay, well, if it's a boy, it's going to be this. If it's a girl, it's going to be that. Even though I'm not telling people I've got a name, I have got a name. And I've every outfit you look at. And then after you've had a miscarriage, every time you go to the toilet through pregnancy, you're looking for blood. Yeah. Every single time. Even when you're like 8 months pregnant and you've just had a scan, you go to the toilet and think, oh, no blood. Never, ever leaves you. But not, I never, I don't really, they were all kind of early and I did have an inkling something wasn't quite right. Whereas with the other 4, it was almost like my kids sort of made a big stamp of, I'm here, chill. And that hasn't changed. But yeah, when friends have had miscarriages and stuff and they're so devastated and I think, oh God, because I'm fortunate in that, a friend of mine lost a baby at 20 weeks and you can't imagine the horror because we can't imagine it until you've done it. So I just think it's for me, it was sad, but it was more like right, okay, move on and do it again.
But I also think it's great that you've talked about it.
Yeah.
Because I think people might look at you and think you've got 4 children. And I think it's only when you're going through something yourself and you start talking about it and having other people go, oh, yeah, it happened to me. Yeah. You kind of feel like it's not just you. Yeah. Your body hasn't failed you. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
God, no. I've had a really hard time imagining that women would feel shame for having a miscarriage. But then, I felt shame for having Max induced. We all have our own thing. I feel guilty. Jim and I feel guilty that, well, I can't speak for Jim, but I'm pretty sure we feel like we should have made sure Daniel was taken seriously earlier on because he went to the doctors like 4 times with the mumps and no one wanted to believe it was mumps. Even they sent us home even when he had the lumps all over his body. I mean, you just can't now. And it's one of those things, again, like when you've had one baby, subsequent ones are easier because you've done it. Yeah. No one is ever going to tell a woman who's given birth that it's not going to hurt or it's just a little sting. Really? It's just a little sting. Right, okay, well, I feel like I'm going to split in 2 and my brain's going to fall all over the operating table, but that's fine. So, but I think, were we in that situation again, now I'm much more, go to the doctor, get it checked out, So I also think you're not sent more than you can handle, not to be, we're quite, we're a strong unit, we're a strong couple. We didn't even talk much in between. When we were doing the care of Dan, it was a crossover of care. Right, this thing's been, this guy's been, this one's been, I've got to go shower, I've got to eat, because Jim would always have to eat. I mean, I lived on Pizza Express garlic bread with cheese because there was one opposite the hospital and it was all I could face eating. And I didn't want Daniel to have to smell pizza when he couldn't eat. Yeah. And I'd go in the toilet and quickly eat this tiny little, it's just weird, the things you do. Like, how would your mind think that he wouldn't smell garlic? Yeah. Like you should be eating a cheese sandwich if you don't want him to smell the food. It's just very odd how your brain just sort of, you try and, it's just coping mechanism, isn't it? It's just, I don't know. I see some parents in hospital with their kids, and they've got serious illness, and I see women who can't get pregnant. And I think that we're really, really, really lucky.
Yeah.
You know, we work hard for what we've got, but in terms of the kids and the health, and for us, it was a couple of like, whoa, this is horrific. And for some people, that's what they live with every day. So you won't get any complaints out of it. Even Dan is just, he had mumps, and now he sort of gets on with it. But we're very vocal in terms of the vaccines and you know, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And what is life like now, having employed the boys, putting them on the payroll?
Interesting, because I mean, I wasn't their first employer. They've both had other jobs.
Right, okay.
So I don't think you should be your kid's first employer.
You know,
they need someone else to go, why are you late? Because if I said to them, why are you late? They'd go, I told you I was going to the gym. As if that was more important than being in work, you know. So, but it's fine because my niece is my PA. We're a very family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so because I can trust her. I give her my bank card. She knows all our PIN numbers. She house sits when we're away. She knows what I like and I don't like. If she knows I'm going into a full meltdown on the phone in business, suddenly a cup of tea appears in front of me and she walks away quietly. And that makes me laugh. I'm like, yeah, thanks, Lou. But yeah, it's fine. I don't know. I don't think they'll work with me forever. You know,
okay.
I just think I'm a stopgap, and that's totally fine if I can help them in that way.
And I imagine that you guys have no problem sort of just saying, look, I'm moving on, I've got a new job. Like, you don't have any problem talking to each other?
No, God, no. No. No, and I feel really bad when sort of you get people who don't have that relationship with their children or with their parents, because our family's been very much, we say it, you know, Jim and I are very open with the kids. They can say whatever they want to us. Even if it's hard to hear, you know, it's not their problem if you can't hear it. You need to hear it. It's your kids, you know. So, yeah, no, they could say, "Mum, this is shit. I'm going to work in a pub," and I'd be all right. You're still going to ask me for money every week, though, aren't you? They're like, yeah, you know. So we're still the same in that they'll go, "Mum, can you lend me £100 so I get paid?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I pay you." And then they're like, "Yeah, I'll pay you back," and we go, "Ha ha ha, of course, okay," you know. So the relationship's the same in that way. It's just it's been fine because I like having them around.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, I'm like, I need you to do this, I need you to do that, and also it's really good having your sons working for you, because I can say things like, right, those shelves need putting up. Can you do it by tomorrow? And then they jump into gear, and they're, you know, so it's weird, but it's worked so far. Yeah. We'll see.
Do you think the older two leaving, although they work with you, it was kind of, the blow was softened by the fact that Ava and Max are still with you?
Yeah. And also that Ava was driving us insane when they left. So we were like, oh, thank God, 2 down, 2 to go.
But fast forward then to Max leaving home.
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to affect you?
I think we'll have grandchildren by then and we won't even notice.
Do you?
Yeah, because Max is only 14. So, you know, and he said he wants to be head of IT. I'm like, well, make sure you do your schoolwork then, you know, and we'll see. Can I come and work for you when I have to do my work practice and da-da-da-da? And I'm like, yeah, you can, but I'm going to make you actually do something, Max. And then he looks at me like, oh, okay. As if, you know, I'm going to give him something, you know, but that being in the industry has been great. So when Ava had to do her work experience, she got Charlotte Tilbury.
Right, okay.
Which was wicked. She loved it, you know. And so, of course, every time I see Charlotte, she's like, darling, how is she? You know, so Charlotte, darling. And Ava said, Mum, Charlotte's wicked. She's properly mental. And I'm like, I know she is. That's why I sent you today. You know, she had an option. I just said, you know, I need some work experience for the girls, da-da-da. Got one of her friends into a PR agency and they loved it. So girls, are in a weird way, once they come out of the satanic exorcist years, then it's great because you're much more relatable. You know, well, with Ava in particular, she knows she can tell me anything, you know. You know, I said to her very early on, you know, you can tell me anything. If you get knocked up, you've got to tell me. Don't tell him, tell me first. And she's just looking at me like, okay. I'm like, well, take care of it. And she's just like, okay. And now she's just like, yeah, Mum, I'm not pregnant. Like she'll say, I need to talk to you. I'm like, what is it? I'm not pregnant. I'm like, okay, fine. That's anything else is fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's so weird, isn't it? How you have these, that's the level.
Anything else we can deal with.
Anything else we can deal with, it's fine. And even if she was, we'll still deal with it, it'll be fine. Yeah. But, I don't know. It's just, my mum just goes, ha, ha, ha. I'm like, don't even think for 1 second I was anything as bad as this.
Do you think you might have been though?
No. I mean, I never smoked because I don't like smoke. It makes me feel sick. But I did admit to my mum when I was in my early 30s that I used to hitchhike around the UK going to gigs, and she still hit me. I'm like, I'm a 30-year-old mother. I don't care. What's wrong with you? Okay, Mum, it's 20 years ago. You know.
How do you deal with things like that with teenagers? You know, things like drugs, like smoking, alcohol. How do you deal with that as a mum, knowing that that's out there and that, you know...
We deal with it very differently. Jim was raised in a much more liberal household.
Right.
I wasn't. So I go ballistic and scream and shout and guilt them into anything, like Bev Goldberg. Full, you know, I'm so ashamed I could die. I failed as a parent, you know, like full, you know. And Jim's just like, they'll grow out of it. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? You don't care about our children. Oh, my God. First time I smelled smoke on Daniel. Poor Dan. He was like 14 and he tried to make out he'd been holding it for a friend.
Oh.
I mean, you couldn't even. And I just looked at him and I was like, oh, bless you, you're such a moron. You don't even know how thick you are. You know, and I was like, I can smell smoke. And I've got a nose like a bloodhound. So they always joke. They're like, don't even try and smoke outside the house. My mum will smell it.
Because, you know, there's no like smoking area. Like if you're in a smoking area, if you're smoking, it's not like you go to a pub and.
Yeah, exactly. So he came in and he smelled smoke. And I said, have you been smoking? No. Right, well, you have. Who's been smoking? But it's that Jack Taylor. Poor Jack Taylor's best mate. He still sees him. And he'd be like, no, Mum, I haven't. Oh, no, actually, yeah, there was someone smoking at the bus stop. And I said, give me your fingers. And as he raised his hand like that, I could see, so slow, bless him at the time, I could see him make the connection of, oh, shit, she's going to smell my fingers and I'm dead. And as he raised his hand, he was like, I held it for someone. And I called my dad, my mother-in-law, my mum, and the priest, and made them all lecture him. And he still says, can't believe you're so over the top, and yet Ava smokes, and you just go, don't smoke in the house, boo. And I had to speak to Father Mark. Slightly over the top. But I lost my shit because smoking to me is just... And I said to him, I did not give... And then I do the whole birth. I mean, I cliche. I did not labour for 3 days and have a 3rd-degree tear for you to put smoke in that perfect body that your father and I made. Full guilt. And then they look at me like, as if to say, you're insane. I'm still going to smoke, but whatever. Ava's friends come in. I go, you stink of smoke, get out my face. They go, hi, Mrs. Hirons. You stink of smoke, get away from me. Like, oh, bye, Mrs. Hirons.
So how do you deal with Ava smoking?
She knows how I feel. Yeah. She doesn't smoke. I think she might smoke the odd herbal cigarette she likes. And I'm just like, don't do it near me. I hate it. And if I can tell she's out smoke, I'm like, don't come near me. Don't come near me. I don't want to look at you. I'm disgusted. I failed as a parent. She's like, oh, you're so over the top. Shut up. So, but you know, we live in West London. It's 2019. You know, you step out of our house and you smell weed. Yeah. So I'd rather be much more open with her and have her go and sit somewhere and pretend that she's, you know, or any of them, really. You know, I can't tell a 27-year-old man he can't smoke a joint just because I never did it. Yeah. And that's the weird thing. Your kids never believe that you never did it. I mean, I genuinely didn't. So I was raised in a house where if I smoked a joint now, my dad would batter me and he's 71. That's the house I was raised in, you know. And my husband was the one who was like, no, your mother actually is Julie Andrews. She never did any of that. Literally. So... You know, but you know, I'd rather she talk to me about it, than you know try to hide anything. But she goes to college and she works hard, and she, you know, so it's fine. You know, I'm aware that I'm a dinosaur in an age of, you know. To be honest, I'd rather they all smoked the odd joint than went out and got hammered all the time.
And what about having partners stay over?
Yeah, they have all had partners stay over. It depends on how serious they are and how much I like the partner, to be fair. In some cases, I've liked the boyfriend, girlfriend more than my kids, so it's been fine. That's the thing, you get attached and then they break up and you're like, oh, for God's sake, I've got to unfriend them on Facebook.
Oh no, then you're part of the drama.
No, I don't want to be involved. But then when they get together, they're like, make sure you've been friend requested, make sure you accept it. And I'm like, no, I'm not accepting anyone until you're engaged. I'm not falling for that again. No. And even then I might have to think twice about it. No, thank you.
Are you excited looking forward to like the potential of grandchildren?
No, thank you. I'd like some time on my own, thank you. And I've said to them, if you want to have kids, that's great. Make sure you can afford a childminder because it's not me, love. I'm going to work until I drop. If you can picture me down the park, I didn't do it with you. I'm not going to do it with you snotty-nosed kids either. It's not happening.
And do you make sure that you and your husband have time, like, just for you then?
Yeah, but we do anyway because our kids are at the age where they don't want to be near us. So it's only us two. We have to be like, now that we've done the pub quiz, I think they quite like it because they all know we're going to pay the bill. The
Nice.
older boys know they're going to get fed.
Yeah.
So Ava's boyfriend came last night and he was like, oh, I'll just have some chips. I'm like, dude, you can have a burger, chill. He's like, oh, thanks. And then he was like, no, pudding. So they don't want to spend time with us. You know, we're lucky that they do. We can all sit around together and watch whatever are the many, you know, we're a very media-driven family.
Yeah.
So they're all musicians. There's noise all the time. My husband's, there's guitars all over the house. I'm forever pranging my foot on I'm like, guitar strings. The boys will play. Max has just learnt to play the guitar, and the only two things he plays are the White Stripes, dun, 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 or Sweet Home Alabama.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, you'd think, but there's only so many times, G, you can hear dun 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 dun, and I'm like, Max, learn to play something else. And he's just like, oh, it's really cool, Mum. Listen to this, you know, dun 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 dun. I'm like, oh, Jesus help me, I can't go through this again. So Ava doesn't play an instrument, but we'll sing, you know, we'll all just, it's just noisy. And we love media. So Max loves gaming.
But when the kids leave, though, and it's suddenly that noise isn't going to be there.
But it will be there because Jim and I are there. We're not quiet. Do we sound quiet?
That's true.
And they keep coming back because, you know, all of the kids' friends all they all want to hang out at our house because it's not that we're the cool parents. I would never describe myself as that, but I think we are.
We're very accepting.
Yeah, exactly. So they're very, you know, but you know, even in the early days with the boys' friends who they're all still good mates with, you know, boys kind of make friends for life.
Yeah.
Girls will make friends for life, but on the peripheral, but they'll swing back and forth between who they like more and who's not a bitch and who hasn't stolen someone's boyfriend, you know, whereas boys they're still friends with the kids they were in primary school with. So, but they would come in the early days and they'd just be like, all right. And I would go, I beg your pardon? Yeah, I'm all right. Are you all right? And they go, yeah, sorry, Mrs. Hirons. I'm like, thank you. Or they go, all right, Caroline. I go, I'm sorry, I don't know you. My name is Mrs. Hirons. And I'd half do it just to wind them up. My husband would be laughing in the front room, like, leave them alone. And I'd go, and I say, you better take those shoes off, young man, and do not fart, and do not burp, and do not swear in my house. And the boys were like, Mum, leave them alone. But then they just, you know, they'd love to come round because, you know, they'd be like, oh, I'd hear them swear, and I go, I'm going to call your mother. I'm really sorry, Mrs. Hirons. I'm like, I'm not going to call your mother, you idiot. I'm just winding you up, you know.
But I think that, for me, that's what I want when as the boys grow up. I want them to feel like they can have their friends over and it's a big
you say that now.
I just want some peace, really. I want some peace.
Yeah, most of the time I will go down and go, you know, Ben came in the other night. And the thing is, even though your kids are 27 and 24, they're still your slaves. So there becomes a point where you're like, oh, I'm sorry I was in labour for 3 days with you. I'm sorry it's such a big deal you have to make me a cup of tea. No, don't worry, I'll do it. No, don't worry, I'll do it. And then they're like, Jesus Christ, Mum, I'll put the kettle on. God, all right, you know. But Ben, every time one of the older ones walk in, I either go, put the kettle on, which means make me a cup of tea, even though I'm sitting down and I could perfectly well do it myself. And they're like, fine. You know, it's just like straight in, kettle on. Or I'll go, tell those kids to shut up and get out or I'm going to come down there. Because that was what I used to shout. I used to go, don't make me come down there. If you make me come down there, you won't want me down there. And then they're like... So Ben would go downstairs and go, yeah, Mum's about to lose her shit. That's what he says. And then they all go, okay, sorry. I'll scream at all of them. I don't mind. Because I always think if my kid's in your house and they're being obnoxious, knock yourself out. Yeah. Throw them out, scream at them, do what you want to do. You know, maybe not hit them. Then I might have to have a word. Yeah. But, you know, so if your kid's in my house, they know what to expect. Yeah. But equally, they're good kids. Kids, I feel bad for kids. They get a bad rap. You know, mostly they're a bit confused. Their hormones are all over the gaff. They don't know what they want to do themselves. And I say to even my boys, you shouldn't know what you want to do when you're in your 20s. You're supposed to be a dickhead in your 20s. We all were. You know, you're a confused dickhead as a teen. Then you're just a dick. Then you're not so confused. And then eventually, hopefully, you make a nice person. Somewhere along the way, you think, oh, okay, I've figured this out now. And my general thing is just work hard, don't be a dick. Then we'll all get on fine, you know? The title of my new book, work hard and don't be a dick.
It's a bestseller already.
But I think, you know, as long as you can, and I see people say, oh, the youth of today, and I think it's not the kids of today. We've done it to them. Yeah. My generation above have done it to them. They didn't cause Brexit. We did. Well, my parents' generation did. Yeah. You know, my kids, I cried when Brexit was announced because all the freedom of movement we had is all gone now. Probably, you know, we'll still be able to go, but it's people who voted to leave, for example, who have a house in Spain. Yeah. You're going to get charged every time you want to go to that house. You're going to have to pay for a visa, dickhead. So just like, you know, so my kids are very, they get it, you know, we have expectations of them. We might be fun and chilled, but the general bottom line is be nice to people, don't be a dick. You know, it'll be fine. And so far we're okay.
Well, I've absolutely loved chatting to you today. I'm going to go to my 3 questions.
Oh, God,
That's right.
okay.
They're not really questions. I always say questions. It's not questions. You need to basically finish these 3 sentences.
Oh, God, okay.
Being a mum means.
Fun.
Yay! I like that.
Yeah, fun.
Right.
Years of stress,
Yeah.
going bald, but fun. A lot of paracetamol and pharmaceutical drugs. But in general, fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Since having children, I
Have lost bladder control. Can you spell prolapse? Anyone? Since having children, I have, probably become the person I was always supposed to be.
Oh, you've gone for a serious answer after that one.
Yeah. With
Both serious.
who wears a tenor lady.
And I'm happy when?
When I'm with the family, probably. When I'm with the family, watching telly, it's noisy, everyone's healthy. Like, that's what you really want. When people joke and say, oh, I just want them to be healthy. When you've actually been through something, now that's just rings true, When the house is warm, there's food in the fridge, the kids are around, we know where everyone is, there's no one missing, there's no one in any drama, just when the family unit is working the way it's supposed to be. And then to the other extreme, I'm really happy when I'm on an airplane and not near any of them.
It's nice to have both ends of the spectrum.
Oh, it's very black and white.
Yes.
Either complete solitude or, Jesus Christ, I'm surrounded by people, leave me alone. They're both good.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Not at all. It's been a pleasure. This podcast was brought to you by Fisher-Price. Fisher-Price recognises that every child is unique, and in developing toys that are filled with imagination and excitement, help little ones to grow as they're introduced to the world around them.